Hi, I'm Joe and welcome to the channel. This is the third video in the series of videos where we're dissecting the minor pentatonic scale. In the first two videos, we looked at the minor pentatonic scale, the notes that make up that scale, in relationship to the chords that you're playing over. In that case, in the first video, we talked about the notes in relationship to the 1 chord. The second video, we looked at the notes in relationship to the 4 chord. In this video, we're going to analyze the notes in relationship to the 5 chord, the last chord in the chord progression of a typical blues. Now, why are we doing this? Sometimes as guitarists, we get so used to that minor pentatonic box that we don't take time to be mindful of the notes that we're playing or landing on or targeting in our solos based on the chord that's flowing underneath us in the music. And what we discovered in the first two videos is that there actually are stronger notes to target based on the chord that you're playing over when you're using the minor pentatonic scale. So in this one, let's go ahead and grab a guitar and take a look at the minor pentatonic scale over the 5 chord. So hopefully you saw the first two videos in this series, but a quick reminder why we're doing this is we're trying to understand the notes in the pentatonic scale and how they relate and sound over the chords that we're playing, so we know what options we have when we're soloing. We want to specifically target certain notes when we're soloing to convey certain emotions. We talked about tension and release. Some notes are going to resolve, and some notes are going to provide that tension that we want. Now, there's a little bit of music theory in these lessons, but there's no substitute for you developing your ears. But the goal is, through theory, to explain these things and have an understanding of why they sound good so we can develop our ears. And then when we hear these things in our heads when we're playing, we'll instinctively want to go and play those notes. So just like the other two videos, now let's take that G minor pentatonic scale and we're going to play that over the 5 chord. And let's just take a second to just listen. I'm going to play each note very slowly over the chord, and we're just going to take time to listen to hear what each note sounds like. So that's the 5 chord, D7, here's G. So I hope you could hear in that certain notes sounded stronger over that 5 chord in the blues than any other. Now again, I wasn't technically playing anything wrong. I'm still playing the same notes we played over the 1 chord, over the 4 chord, and now over the 5 chord. So what changed? Well, since the chord is now D7, the relationship of the note over that chord changed. The value of it changed. Here's an example. When we were in basically G7, we know that the G was the root of that chord. When we played it over the C7, we know that it was the 5th of that chord. Well, now when we play this over the D7, let me try this. That G is really not part of the D7 chord at all. So just like we did earlier, let's go ahead and take a look at what makes up the D7 chord. We have D, F sharp, A, and C. Well, what do you notice about that compared to the G minor pentatonic scale? Well, there's a D, that's in the scale. There's this F sharp. Well, we don't have an F sharp, we have an F natural, a flat 7. So we don't even have this note in the scale. We also have an A. Let's see if the A is in the scale. We don't have an A in the scale. We have a flat 3, which is close to the A, but it's not an A. And then we also have the C. Well, we do have that in the scale. So right away, our scale is missing majority of the chord tones that are in this. There's 2 that are in the chord and 2 that are not. I shouldn't say the majority. There's 2 that are in and 2 that are not in. So basically, it might make you start to think, well, maybe I need to target those other tones when I'm soloing because they're going to be the strongest out of all the notes in the minor pentatonic scale. So we could see that there were some notes that worked well with the D7 chord and some notes that added tension. They were just different. They weren't part even of the chord itself. Let's go ahead and do the same exercise now where we're going to play these notes, but over the D7 chord. And now that we know what the flavor is of them, we can listen to them a little bit better. So let's listen to them over the D chord. So I play G. It's not bad. It's like an extension, a color note. Let's try the B flat now. Well, that really clashes, especially against the A that's in the chord. C. That's okay, that's the 7th. But it kind of wants to go to the D. Let's try the F. To me that clashes a little bit because the D7 has a F sharp in it. So that's going to really be a tension note if you land on that one, or if you include that in your solo, that's going to be a tension note. So it seems to me the ones to kind of stick on are the C and D. So we could clearly see that there were certain notes now from the G minor pentatonic scale that really added a lot of tension, especially over the 5 chord, but they sound great over the 4 chord or even the 1 chord. And you can use that, now that you know this, now that you have this knowledge, you can start playing with the different flavors in your solos by being very specific to what notes that you're targeting or landing on or ending your phrases on. So I thought it would be fun, since we've analyzed this G minor pentatonic scale over all of the chords, let's go ahead and run through the whole progression. And I'm going to play the notes very slowly again, but you'll hear how the values or the flavor of the notes change depending on the chord that we're playing. So there's our G7. So I wasn't playing anything magical there, but you could see that when I was playing those notes, the flavor again, the color that they were adding to the chord just seemed to change, and some of them fit in really well. So this is just a fun exercise to do. And you don't have to do this just over the blues. You can use any chord progression and any scale and just play the notes individually to hear what they sound like. I really think this is going to be very eye-opening to you. Instead of just learning a pattern and running through it, take your time to understand what each note brings, each characteristic that note brings to the chord that's underneath it. So what's the practice advice for this video? Well, it's going to be the same as the first 2 videos. The idea here is find a loop or download the track in the description for free and loop that in your DAW, and just play over the 5 chord this time. Listen to each note. What does each note in that pentatonic scale say to you or sound like to you? Understand its characteristics to you. The goal again is like the other 2 videos, just for you to get familiar with what the notes sound like, so when you're soloing, you'll start to hear those thoughts in your head, those ideas and melodies in your head, and you'll instinctively know where to go on the guitar to express those notes and express what you're feeling and playing. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you found some value in it, and if you did, please do me a favor. Consider subscribing down below, hit the like button, and knock on the bell. All of these things support the channel, and I'm very, very grateful for that. As always, I wish you a great day.